Hello and welcome to this property education video in which I'm going to do something slightly different because I'm going to share with you for the very first time in public my secret lessons from Necker Island. This is something I've shared only with my mastermind graduates in the past. I've never done it in public, but you know, so many people have asked me about this. I think it's about time I share with you exactly what I learned when I was able to spend 6 days on Necker Island with Richard Branson and a small group of other entrepreneurs back in 2015. So it's a number of years ago now, but the lessons I learned then are still with me and I think about them literally every week. And often when you invest in yourself, particularly when you spend that, because by the way, it's not a cheap place to go to. Now, by the way, anyone can go to Necker Island. It's about $30,000 for a week. However, we did a special trip and I went as part of a group who go every year. They take about 20 entrepreneurs and we pay a lot more than that because we actually they arrange for Richard Branson to be on the island at the same time. You see, if you visit Necker, there's no guarantee he's going to be there because often he's around the world or even up in space. And in fact, Richard Branson doesn't actually live on Necker Island anymore. He lives next door on the not so well named Mosquito Islands. And when we were actually there, we were very fortunate. We actually go to look around Mosquito Islands and the 2 properties that he built for his kids before they were actually finished. So we can say I've actually been in Richard Branson's bedroom. I'm not sure if that's a good thing to say really, but we were in his bedroom before it was all finished. And there was the obligatory, as we were looking around the pool, of course, people ended up being pushed into the pool, which is a Virgin kind of classic thing to happen. But it was an incredible trip. It was a life-changing trip. And to be honest, at the time, I obviously put the investment through my business because it was a business trip. It was $45,000 for a week. And to be honest, at the time, I wasn't really sure if I could afford to go on that trip. Well, my business was doing okay. My properties generated a nice income, but still $45,000, and you've got to pay for flights to get there as well, is quite a big investment. So why did I invest that kind of money in myself? Well, it was great to meet Richard Branson. I've met him before. I was speaking at an event, same event as him. So I've got a picture of me speaking with him before. So it wasn't for that. It wasn't for the publicity. In fact, I didn't really tell many people I was going to Necker Island. It was a very personal experience for me to learn. And what I really wanted to do was work on my mindset. I knew that people who could afford to spend $45,000 for a week are going to be a certain caliber of person. And that's exactly what I got. There are about 20 self-made millionaires. Some people were still running the business. Some had sold their businesses. And one of the biggest things for me was I met this guy on the very first day. We were standing at the bar having a beer. And he was telling me he'd just sold his business about 6 months before for $20 million. And he was saying he had a bit of a problem. He wasn't really sure what to do with the money. I thought, wow, that's not a bad problem to have, right? But actually, when you have a lot of money, that is a serious problem. How do you get your money working for you? But at first, the first day, I was in awe of this guy. I thought, oh, that's amazing. I wish I could do that. By the end of the week, after just 6 days, having spent some time with him and all the others, my mindset had changed. And I actually believed, I thought, you know what? If he can sell his business for $20 million, there's no reason why I cannot sell my business for $20 million. And interestingly, it was almost exactly 7 years later that I did sell my business, not quite for $20 million, it was about $19 million, to one of the people who was actually at Necker Island. Now, I knew him before. I didn't meet him on Necker Island, but he was one of my mentors who'd actually invited me to go in the first place. And it just goes to show that when you have the right kind of environment around you, you can do anything because you become like the people you surround yourself with. So if you are not around a group of successful achievers, maybe you need to think about changing your circle because you will become like the people you spend most of your time with. So what I want to do is give you a summary of some of the lessons that I took away from Necker Island. Lesson number 1 is that great entrepreneurs employ great managers to manage their business. The reason Richard Branson has, I think, over 300 companies within the Virgin Group, or they bought and sold a few and some haven't worked, but it's been something like that, is he doesn't run the business. And the biggest mistake most entrepreneurs make is they think they have to be the person running the show. They have to be doing everything. Well, no, you don't. And you might think, well, yeah, it's okay for Richard Branson, he could afford it. But guess what? Everyone's got to start somewhere. And there are government schemes you could use like the Enterprise Investment Scheme, where you can get people to invest into your business It's a tax efficient way for them to invest. It can't be done through a property business, by the way, just before you want to know. But my business, Crowd Property, we raised a lot of money through Enterprise Investment Scheme. And it's a way of people investing in you, and they're buying shares, they believe in the business, hopefully it's going to be sold one day for a lot of money, and that should be the case for Crowd Property, hopefully. But they get tax advantages, and there's incentive for them to invest. So you can actually get capital injected into your business, which means you can afford to bring other people into the business to help run the business. So if you really want to step up in terms of being an entrepreneur or a property investor, one of the things you can do is stop managing everything yourself, get someone else, a great manager, to come and manage your business for you, which is exactly what Richard Branson does. So lesson number 2 from Necker Island is great leaders are great listeners. And Richard Branson is a fantastic listener. Wherever he goes, he takes a little pen and a notebook. He's always talking to his staff, to his customers, getting great ideas and feedback from them about how they can make the business better. You see, I sometimes think leaders and entrepreneurs are a little bit arrogant. They think their way is the best way. Whereas really you can have an amazing team and customers who've got great suggestions and ideas if only you're prepared to listen to what they say. And as a property investor, I always say that one of the most important things for us is to be a really good listener so we can listen to sellers and investors, hear what they want and give them what they need. So we are both agreed that great leaders make great listeners. Lesson number 3 is what's called learned incompetence. What I mean by that is we need to recognize what are we good at, what are our skills, what are our natural ability, and what are we not very good at. And rather than trying to just focus on the things that we're not very good at and get better, which by the way is the way we're taught to do things in school. If you're not very good at maths, get some extra maths lessons, etc. Learned incompetence is all about recognizing, okay, what am I not very good at? And getting someone else to do those things for you. So you don't have to do the things you're not good at, you don't enjoy, and you just focus on the things that you're best at, where you add the most value, and that's how you grow your business. Lesson number 4 from Necker Island. Successful people seek to praise and are reluctant to criticize. If you have team working for you, you need to nurture those people, you need to encourage the people, you need to praise those people when they do a good job, and always look for the good you can bring out of people. Now sometimes when people do things wrong, we need to talk to them, we need to talk them through that so they get the learning from it. But all too often, leaders, and myself included here, I'm not saying I'm perfect, it's very easy for us to criticize people when things go wrong, but instead we should really look for the opportunity to praise and congratulate our team, because then we empower them to be more independent and go and make the right decisions and help us grow our businesses. Number 5, entrepreneurs see patterns that other people would miss. And this is one of the reasons that Richard Branson loves to get business owners and entrepreneurs coming on trips to Necker Island, because he's really curious to learn about different industries and what people do. And he spots these patterns. He had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of business owners over the years come and spend a week on Necker Island with him and other entrepreneurs. And he's great at spotting the patterns and trends in industries that other people without that industry experience would absolutely miss. So look for patterns that other people would miss, and that's going to give you an unfair advantage. Lesson number 6 is pay for expert advice. Look, you're never going to know everything. And instead of trying to learn everything and become the expert, why not find really good people who are experts in their field and use them? For example, in property, I understand a little bit about planning, but by no means am I a planning expert. Instead, I pick up the phone to my planning consultant, I pay her for great advice she gives me. She's been in planning for 35 plus years. It saves me a whole load of time, and it means I don't have to clutter my head up with planning information, because I just speak to the person who's got the very latest update information. And I can focus on things that I'm really good at, which is finding deals and speaking with motivated sellers. So pay experts to get the right advice. And one thing about property investors, often, what's the word I'm looking for? They're tight. They don't like spending money. They try and get the cheapest insurance, they try and get the cheapest mortgage broker, the cheapest solicitor. Well, you really get what you pay for. So recognize in your business, you're going to have to spend to get some expert help. And if you want to make lots of money, you've got lots of profit to pay for the best experts. So make sure you pay for expert advice. Lesson number 7 from Necker Island is trust your gut instinct. You know, your gut instinct is where you get a funny feeling in your stomach if something's not quite right, or if you think something, yeah, am I going to do this or not? And learning to trust your instinctive feelings is something that many people suppress and they've forgotten about. But if you really tap into your body is telling you through your energy when things are right for you or not. So start listening to your gut to see if you should make decisions or not. Number 8. Successful entrepreneurs follow their purpose and passion. Now, this is sometimes a challenge for people. People don't know what their purpose is, they don't know what their passion is. And actually, it was only when I became financially independent, thanks to my property investing, and I was able to quit my full-time job at Cadbury's, that gave me the time and freedom to really work out what my purpose and what my passion was. And I discovered back in 2003, over 20 years ago, when I first started teaching people like you how to be successful investors, that actually that's what I love to do. And I particularly love when I can share some concepts and ideas and people take that information, they go and implement it, and they start to make massive changes in their life. And that's what gives me a massive buzz and a massive feeling of worthiness and significance by knowing I'm helping other people. So what's your passion and what's your purpose? And by the way, it doesn't have to be property. I like what property does for me. I love what it's done for other people, but I'm not passionate about property. I'm passionate about the results it gets for people and how it can allow them to follow their true purpose and passion in their life. So you don't have to love property, just fall in love with the results that property can give you. And that will give you the motivation to get going, to build your income, to replace your income, and then work out what you really want to do with your life. And finally, lesson number 9 from Necker Island is always have fun. There's a rule on Necker Island, which is we do work in the morning, in the afternoon, you are not allowed to do any work. So maybe you go and water ski, or you kite surf around the island, or you play tennis, or you sit on the beach, do whatever you want to do, but you're not allowed to work. So there's definitely a time for work, and there's a time for rest. There's a time to recharge your batteries to make sure you're ready to go at it again. Because if you're going 100 miles an hour all the time, you're going to wear out, you're going to get exhausted. So you need to plan in leisure time. It just happens to be every afternoon when you're on the tropical island in the Caribbean that is Necker Island. And Richard Branson has this amazing attitude to life, which is that if something's not fun, I'm not going to do it. Why on earth would you do things that you don't want to do? Now, sometimes there are important things that need to be done, but as I said earlier, you can get other people to help you with some of those things so you can focus on what you enjoy, what you love to do, and life's going to be so much more enjoyable if you have that element of fun in your life. Now, it's interesting, you know, you think about Richard Branson, you see he's a life and soul of the party, but really interesting, he is, when you go and see, they have big parties and things there, but actually, often he nips off at about 10:30 to go to bed. He'll go and he's the light and soul of the party. Doesn't mean he has to be the last person to leave the party. He actually goes early, gets a good night's sleep, gets up early in the morning, plays some tennis, does some work, and then rests for the rest of the afternoon. So make sure whatever you do, you always have fun. So those are the 9 lessons I got out of my time at Necker Island. It was great to meet Richard Branson again. Actually, he's a very quiet, introverted person, very clever, a great thinker and a great listener as well. But actually, to be honest, I got more out of the other people I met there. The people who were like me, who maybe were more successful than me, but that made me think bigger, made me aim higher. And I really encourage you, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to get other smart people around you. You want to be the poorest person in the room, the dumbest person in the room. Then you're going to learn and grow so much in that right environment. So I do hope this has been useful. Take some of these lessons away. By all means, use them, apply them in your life, and I'm sure you're going to be more successful in your enterprise, whatever that might be. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like the video and come and tell me below which of those 9 lessons is the one that resonated the most with you? Which one you thought, yeah, that's great, I'm going to put that into my life? Please do that. And also make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the bell icon so anytime you come up with a brand new video, you're one of the first people to be notified. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill.